Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Jared Brandon.
Hey, it's me, Todd Novak. Glad to have you here. Nice you are here. Nice you are here is poor English. Nice to have you here. We're excited. We're always excited. We love doing this. And we got some fun things to talk about. And we're just going to get right into it. We are down a knob or two or three. They've been dropping like flies. Things, people just got lives going on. But we want to keep the content coming. So we're not going to just wait around for everybody to be on the same page.
Now we got to move on.
Yeah, so me and Jared are here today. And we got a couple topics we're going to talk about. We're not typically our programming. We do one, we do one main one, and that's just that's what we've been doing. But we got a couple things that we're going to talk about, so no big. Let's just do it, man.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, what's your music week looking like this week?
It's pretty busy. I'm really busy at home at the shop, and business has really picked up. But I got to tell you, man, when I can squeeze in some time to plug my guitar and turn the amp up, and it's like being in a different world. I love it, and it's got to be when the wife isn't home either. But when I do find that time, it's awesome. I love plugging in and just grabbing a random guitar and squeaking out a few power chords.
What was your inspiration for playing this week?
You know what? I got a Marshall dual super lead, and I think one of the smaller.
Are you asking me or telling me?
I had to say it like that because I almost forgot what it was.
I have a Marshall?
I do. It's a great amp, man. It's nothing special. It's not a deluxe anniversary, whatever, signature, whatever. It's just a great workhorse. Actually, when I first got the thing, it had problems. In fact, everybody else that I talked to that have Marshalls is like, oh man, it's a Marshall. It has problems, whatever. But I got this guy here in Columbus, Ohio. He's in South Ohio, South Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, in the South area, and Vintage Amp Repair. He is a cool dude, very nice. But you have to take your amp to the guy. But the guy has worked wonders on 3 or 4 amplifiers of mine. Great amplifier guy. He knows a lot. He knows everything there is to know about tube amps. Don't take him anything but a tube amp. He'll just make fun of it if it's not a tube amp. But anyway, this Marshall, he totally revamped this Marshall, and it sounds amazing. It's a great amp, and the only one little problem I've had with it so far is just a little preamp tube went out. That's it. I replaced it. Wanted to see how it sounded after that, so I plugged in. Wife wasn't home yet. Turned it up, messed with the tone.
What is your wife's name?
Heather.
Okay. In case she ever listens to this, she might want. She
doesn't
credit.
like loud guitar music. It's funny because we met at one of my gigs when I was playing out, and I don't know. And now she's like, okay, I already met you, and whatever. I don't like that loud, screechy music. So, well, whatever, respect that. So, but anyway, I wanted to make sure the Marshall worked, and man, it's working great. So I'm really happy with it.
And what model is it?
It's a dual super lead. It's a JCM 2000 dual super lead.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've had that how long?
Since 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd forgotten, but when I took the panel off, I think I saw a year somewhere.
Why did you choose that particular model?
Well, because it wasn't the particular model that got me to buy that amp. It was because my friend that owns a guitar shop in Fremont, Ohio, had the amp, and he said, hey, man, I'll make you the deal of a lifetime. I'll sell it for you for a real low amount of money. And we're good friends. I'm like, what the heck? All right. So
you weren't necessarily looking for
not really. I mean, I knew I wanted something like that, and I was kind of looking to add to my amp count because I needed different types of amps to test out different types of guitars with different pickups and whatnot.
Right. So
I'm like, okay, I need the everyday Marshall that everyday player guy plays out. And I thought, oh, okay, well this head and a 4-speaker cab would, that's pretty common. So that's why I got it. It's one of the reasons. But it was like one of those, hey, I got this thing in the store and it's been sitting here for a long while. So hey, man, I'll whatever. I just don't want to see it anymore. I'm like, oh, okay.
Had you played other Marshalls up to that point?
Not really. To be honest with you, not really. Like I wish I had, but I'm hearing everybody wants the old, what is it? What do they call them? The stuff from the late 60s that Hendrix had, the Plexis.
Oh, yeah.
Those are really, people really want those because it's old technology. What is it? Well, wire to wire, point to point.
Point to point, yeah.
Yeah. But no, this dual Super Lead that I have, it's not stock because I had the amp fella, and I forgot his name. I apologize. I had him work on it, and he just any amp that I get back from this guy is solid. And if it's not, he makes it solid with no charge. I haven't talked to him in a long time because he did a really good job on my amps, so I haven't needed to call him. But anyway, yeah, after all that, that's what's going on with me. How about you, man?
Well, let's see. Well, we just got a new interface here. We got our old interface took a crap, and our USB interface that we record out of here. So I had to go on the hunt for a new one, and I was a little worried because I've been spending a lot of money on guitar stuff and guitar knob stuff. Like,
right.
We don't get a dime for this.
No.
And that doesn't mean we're doing it wrong. It's that we're still growing, and it's pretty much impossible to get any kind of return on your investment unless your numbers are through the roof. So and honestly, that's not what it's about. We never make a dime out of this, I don't care. That's not what I'm doing it for, and that's not why. That's not the impetus for this show, and which some people scratch their head at because there's other dudes that are doing podcasts like Joe Rogan, Mark Maron, et cetera, like those guys are killing it, but they have a different format, they have a different audience, and they have access to much more. It's like, whatever. It's cool.
Yeah, I think Mark Maron's been popular since the 80s, early 90s or something.
Yeah, his show's been on for like 7 years.
Yeah, his podcast alone,
it's fantastic.
Yeah, he's been doing stand-up.
I love his show. Years. And Mark Maron, if you're listening,
he plays Telecaster guitars, by the way.
He's got a bunch of guitars.
Yeah,
and it's funny because I was listening to the show, and he always plays around with it, and I think we might just send him a shirt or something. So be looking for that, Mark Maron, because obviously he's listening, right? I mean,
I sent him an email about 5 years ago I said, hey man, I'll build you some Tele pickups or whatever, and I didn't get a response back, but I'm thinking that if you send him an email, I'm thinking he's got people that read the emails.
I'm sure he's got some
know.
assistant stuff going on. Anyhow, so we had to get a new Behringer, Cat's out of the bag. We had to get a new interface, and I was worried because we need a four input interface, and I think like most guys, I researched the crap out of everything. Not because I'm worried about stuff. I just want to make sure that I really only have to do it once.
Right.
And I also know that that's how I gain a huge amount of knowledge. So I knew that with a 4-input USB interface, it was gonna be expensive, or at least more expensive than I would want. And I kind of view these things as like, like buffer pedals or volume pedals or something like that, where you're just like, oh, man, I don't want to put money into that, because it's just a thing. Or an EQ pedal, like, really? Yeah, I know I need it, I know I want it, but I'd much rather get a new fuzz or something like that instead, something pedal, that's fun. Yeah. So this is utility equipment. And when I had checked previously, because I knew that our current interface was on the fritz, we had an M Audio, an older one, I guess. I say I guess because they didn't update any of the new drivers. And typically you don't have to use drivers on a Mac, so that tells you something.
Right on.
So I knew that we were probably looking up into the pushing $300, and I just did not want to do that. Fortunately, I found a pretty sweet interface. I am very, very happy with this. I landed on a Behringer, which, here's the thing. As soon as you say Behringer in the guitar world, you're like, grab your pedals. I mean, they take care of business. Yeah, I think they got a bad rep because they kind of fall apart a little bit, and not all of them. Not saying all of them. And I'm sure people out there have Behringers that they really love, and they fit a price point, so they have their purpose for sure. I get that. But I was worried about, hey, if I drop $100 plus, almost $200 on an interface, and it's a Behringer interface, and if it's the same Behringer that makes the plastic pedals, I'm in trouble if anything goes wrong, and that's wasted money. But I gotta say, this thing's built like a tank. This is awesome. I'm very, very happy with it. It's a 4-input interface, and it's loaded with all kinds of cool outputs on the back. It is the Behringer U, that's the letter U, dash Phoria, Phoria, UMC 404 HD.
High definition.
That's a hell of a name. And I think maybe the coolest part about this, aside from the price and the build on it is excellent, is that each of the channels have their own preamp, and it's called a Midas preamp. So just that right there, and all of the reviews and stuff that I've been checking out before I did this is like great reviews all the way around. So I'm being exhaustive about this because if anybody is playing any instruments at home and they're going to their computer, guess what you got to have? Got to have a USB interface.
That's correct.
If you're recording anything into a computer, you pretty much need a USB interface. And so check it out. It was like $100. I mean, that's ridiculous. I bought a PreSonus, a two input, and it was that much.
Yeah.
And this thing's out of control. I'm really, really lucky I found it. Because you kind of have to dig for it. It's not one of those ones like if you look up Guitar Center, it's like you're just gonna get all the Focusrite and PreSonus and everything. Which those are cool. That's fine. Those are great machines. But this one I'm really, really happy with. So I spent time doing that, and also the bass player in my band, two of my bands actually, he has a really sweet Fender Jazz, and he moves around a lot, and he plays it really low. And we're we're doing a gig and I I won't do it on the mic. Sorry about that. This huge cracking pop. It sounded like someone's breaking a bat. And I'm looking and it's like, what the crap is going on? He's like, it's a problem with his jack. And I was like, man.
Oh my gosh.
So it turns out it's a stereo jack. And he's running a mono chord.
Oh, I gotcha.
Which, I don't know, in theory or not, it was making all kinds of horrible racket. And so I said, hey, I'll take a look at that. I love repairing guitars and junk. So I said, I don't know, I'll just put a regular jack in there for you. And so I got the guitar back, and before he gave it to me, he's like, yeah, there's something wrong with the nut too. And I was like, really? Like, okay. He's like, yeah, he plays with the fingers only, and he plays pretty hard. He's a big, strong dude. And so he goes, yeah, if I just even tug on the A a little bit, it pops right out of the saddle. And he showed me. So, okay, we'll check that out. So I get the thing home and I get it on the bench, and that'd be like a good podcast name, like Get It on the Bench. I don't know.
On the bench.
Yeah, on the bench. And pulled off the jack, no problem, easy peasy there. And then he also, if Will's listening to this, he I don't know if he's gonna like all this, but the guy sweats like a mother. Like it is insane how heavily this dude sweats. So his frets are just coated in DNA and rust.
Right.
Like, just like, but pooly rust, not the kind of gritty rust that happens with it. It's like pools of. So I'm like, holy moly!
So
I gotta
did
clean
he have all that
up.
skin oil build up on the?
Oh, yeah. There's
on
just
the fingerboard.
It's like a CSI crime scene, man.
Yeah.
So gonna take care of that for him, and then I'm just checking the action. I've never seen a bass or a guitar with action this high. I'm not even joking. I can put my finger in between the fretboard and the string.
Me no likey that.
Like, what the crap?
Yeah, you play with a slide or
no?
It's crazy.
It's bass. He plays flat wounds. And then I was checking out more, and one of the saddles is missing the height adjustment screw. So he's got a piece of rolled up cardboard.
Yeah, that's always the first go-to.
This is like, I'm like, this is pretty sweet. Like, I like guitars like that. Like, I'm not knocking them at all. I think guitars with personality are fantastic.
Hey, that's what you use when your nut is your string dug into your nut on the top, and that's what you do. You get
you just
chew up a piece of cardboard and stick it in there.
Yeah, there's ways to get around things. So anyways,
well, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Now, you said it's a stereo jack.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask, is there active pickups in that guitar?
Yeah.
That is not a stereo jack, my man.
Well, it is.
That is a switch. That when you plug in the jack, that activates the battery power. And then when you unplug it, that extra lead it disconnects the battery power. I know this because I did the exact same thing.
Really?
When I was in a band about 5 or 6 years ago, my bass player had a jazz bass and it had active pickups in it.
Really?
And he had the same problem. He would just move around or whatever, and then would hear that rackety, ugly sound.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh man, my jack's messed up, man." And that's not how he sounds, by the way. He's a pretty intelligent dude, but I'm like, "Hey man, I'll fix it. I do stuff and I work on things." So I took the bass home and I took that out and I put a regular, mono jack in there.
Yeah.
Just a normal whatever. I gave it back and no problem, no noise or anything. But he's like, "Hey man, I put like 3 batteries in this, and it just wore every single battery down." I'm like, check that out. And I'm like, wait a minute, that extra prong on there activates the battery.
Huh.
So when you pull the jack out, the battery goes, it cuts off it opens the connection. So you don't wear the battery down.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's weird because I'm looking at the two online. There's a stereo jack and there's a mono jack, and they look okay. So I guess I got to research that a little bit more because
I don't know. Maybe I'm talking about something different.
That sounds
but
exactly it sounds very much to be the case.
It was just a really crappy jack too. So I got a
this is a Switchcraft one. I mean, it's a nice jack.
Yeah, I replaced what was there with a Switchcraft. Yeah.
Okay.
Wired it the way it was supposed to be, and all was well after that. But yeah, I made a mistake. I didn't know what that was for, and I lived and learned.
Yeah, interesting. Huh. Well, I'm glad I didn't do that, but I did. I did order a new jack, so
okay.
That's all. That's no big deal. They're only like $2, so
Right.
I'll live. Okay. Well, cool. So I'll have to figure out what exactly was the issue, and I'll have to replicate that. Another thing that he was doing that I said, hey, bro, you got to not do this. He was playing one of the like a cable that was just a straight cable with the heavy shrink plastic around the jack down about a couple inches so that it doesn't bend at the jack.
Right.
Well, he's playing it low, and that big giant lead coming out of the bottom is, pressure up against his leg and stuff. So I wonder if he either bent his cable or the prongs are just too loose now. So I got to replicate that.
Yeah.
So I told him, I'm like, dude, go get yourself a right angle cable. And I recommended the rattlesnake cables. I personally use them. I love them. But hey, whatever. Not endorsed, not affiliated. just happens to be one that we like. But so let's see. So I'm doing that, and then I got to replace the bridge. Not the bridge. Sorry, the nut. The curious thing is, with nut replacement. So I'm going to put a Tusk nut in there.
Nice.
From GraphTech. And the thing is, though, is that with the guitars, you have a much wider range. So if you have to fudge something or you got to do your own, there's a lot more options. When it comes to the jazz bass, it's like there's a pretty specific size requirements there.
Yeah.
And even to get just a slab, like a one that isn't notched or anything like that, there's not a lot of wiggle room as far as size. So it needs to be, if it's too long, it's cool. I can shorten it back up as long as it's not notched. But the width of it, if the width is off, that can be problematic. You can always shave these things down. It's just, if you don't have to, that's great. It's also curved, which that's fine. I can deal with that. What I needed, though, is I needed extra height on the actual nut. I need to keep the action where it currently is, and that's the factory nut. He likes the action there, so I want to keep that action, but it's like I need the walls in between the strings to be higher so it doesn't pop out.
Right.
And it's not it doesn't have like a locking nut on it or anything. It's just, it's actually really small if you think about like the heft of a bass.
Right.
So,
and what I've learned about nuts.
I don't know if I want to know that.
Woo. Anyway, when you replace, if anybody out there has never replaced a nut on their guitar before, and you do that with another bone, husk, or whatever you're going to use, you only want to use a tiny little bit of glue. Yeah. Just a tiny bit of glue.
Diluted.
Right. So just enough to keep that thing on there secure. So that's just a little tip for you.
Yeah. No, for sure. That's what I did on the last one. That was actually the very first actual for someone besides myself fix that I had to do on a guitar was replacing a nut. And I was like, sweet, I can do that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this. What am I doing?
You know, it looks really simple.
I figured it out.
But it's if you
do it wrong, it's
right.
It's gonna come off.
I've never done it, but I've talked to luthiers and people that run guitar shops, and I know that I'm probably gonna, if I decide to make one that's not even cut yet, I'm gonna get plenty of material because I'm gonna plan on making a mistake once or twice.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, the thing that was at one point I was like, oh, maybe I should get like a brass one or something like that, or a metal. Something metal,
like a roller nut or
something like that.
Yeah.
But I was suspicious as how that would set, like with glue. Mm-hmm. I'm not a glue expert.
I think you screw those in. I'm pretty sure there's little. They come with tiny little screws. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, good that I didn't do that because.
Who wants to put holes in their guitars?
Up at the neck, that's very dodgy.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyhow, so that's the crap that I'm doing right now. So I got a nice guitar on the bench. Oh, and I got something else in the mail that's coming. I'm excited. More information on that soon.
And let me add one more thing about the jack situation and how it became loose. And it's a good thing that happened. It was just a matter of a jack being loose, because if you have a Gibson SG, and this happened on the older ones, if you just have a jack in there and it's straight plugged in, when you're done playing, you always got to take that thing out. On the older SGs, it's a real thin wall where you plug that thing, and I'm talking about the ones that you plug in on top of the body, like near the knobs. It's kind of a thin area in there, and all it takes is leaving that jack in there and then walking by it and bumping the jack. You'll crack the whole front of your body of your guitar.
No kidding.
Oh yeah. Yep. And that's happened. If you go on eBay or go through a catalog of old used SGs, you'll see where they've probably been repaired or whatnot. There's a really well-known luthier in Akron that I know that has had to build whole new SG bodies for guitars that went through that injury, where somebody left the jack in and somebody walked by, and they...
So wait a minute. They left the jack in, or they left the cord in?
They left the cord in the jack. I'm sorry.
Okay.
They left the male cord end into the jack, and it even pulling the wire, like say you step on the wire, you catch the wire and you pull the wire, the cord real tight and hard, then that'll also crack the top of that real thin. There's probably a few other guitars that are like that too, but mainly the older SGs, because that wood is so light.
When you say older, like what are we talking about?
Oh heck, I don't know.
I mean, because that body has been made for what?
I'm sure it could happen to the newer ones too.
50 years, anyways, right?
Yeah,
50.
Especially the newer custom shops are built exactly like the ones 1960 is when they were first introduced, and in 61 they were out there. So
wait, let me ask you a question, because in my continual pursuit for the Melody Maker unicorn that I'm looking for.
Right.
I was surprised to see, this is something that I didn't know. I don't know a lot of stuff. Shocker. But that's the beauty of doing the program and listening to other podcasts and stuff, is that at no point do you not learn something.
Absolutely.
I love that. Anyway, so I remember when I was first looking for a Melody Maker, I kept seeing like an SG style. Mm-hmm. Or what I knew to be an SG, but they were calling it a Melody Maker. So I was curious. Like I didn't bother at the time to say, "Ooh, wait a minute, let me sort this out." I'm assuming that that body style was first a Melody Maker, and then they began calling it an SG?
No. That body style.
My assumption is wrong.
Right. But no big deal. Not a lot of people look into it or whatever. But that body style was the Les Paul. That was supposed to be the brand new Les Paul, the SG body style.
Yeah.
And it was not called an SG at first.
Right.
It was just called a Les Paul. And that's why you see on the 1960 through late 62 and early 63, the truss rod cover says SG on the standard, up on the headstock of the guitar. And down right underneath the neck, at the bottom of the neck near the neck pickup,
right.
in between there, it says Les Paul Custom on the custom models. And
I like that little plate on there. I think that's a nice.
It's called
touch.
a tenon cover.
A tenon cover?
Yeah, if you take that off, you'll see where the tenon goes through the body. Like that's where the neck and body joint is.
Right.
Just that little part of it. And then if you take the neck pickup out and you look under there, you'll see more of that joint.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they were shorter tenons back in that day, which is a reason why those particular models, those Les Paul SG models, cracked, and you see repairs there.
Oh,
so
wild.
Yeah. But anyway, that body style was supposed to be the new and improved Les Paul. And let me tell you, I mean, I would rather have one of those in my shoulder all night than a 70s heavy Les Paul, of 13 pounders, you know what I mean? Because
I like the weight.
I know, but
It's just me, but I like.
tell me
yeah.
you didn't like that 62 SG Les Paul, though. I mean, that thing was balanced and you barely knew it was there. And,
Wait, you mean the SG?
right. Well, that's a Les Paul, though, too, because it's called Les Paul.
Right.
The tenon cover on mine says Les Paul. That was a Les Paul you played, my friend. Yeah. But that's where
No, I have an SG at home.
Right.
But it's a newer model SG.
Sure.
But
Sure.
60 yours is nicer.
It's old. It's an original 62.
And
It's
it's
rare.
lighter.
It's an expensive one, but the guys don't really take those out and play them. They're more collectible, whatever. But Les Paul didn't like that guitar, so they removed his name from that guitar, and you didn't see the Les Paul truss rod covers anymore.
That's hilarious. So they built a guitar. At some point in time, surely he must have seen the plans. Then they go, here's our new guitar that we spent months developing
Yeah.
that you've never seen?
Well-
I wonder how that worked.
I don't know. I don't know what's going through his head. All I know is he just didn't like it. So there's a lot of history there. It's a very interesting topic, and not a lot of people realize that was the birth of the SG. Instead of calling it a Les Paul, they had to call it something. So I believe SG stands for solid guitar.
That was
so there
very
you go.
inventive,
Yeah. Now I've seen.
which is hilarious because the other Les Paul is solid. So
Right. I know. Am I wrong? I don't know. Put that in the comments down below if you know I'm wrong for a fact. But I'm pretty sure that's what SG stands for. Yeah.
crazy pants. Where the hell how did we get on the
SGs.
Yeah. Where did that start?
Melody Maker.
Melody Makers, that's right.
The unicorn.
So yeah, what was how do we get there?
Man, I don't know. You were talking your never-ending search for the your unicorn Melody
but
Maker.
I'm trying to think of what prompted that. I guess it really doesn't matter. We're here. So yeah, I'm curious as to why the Melody Maker, where I've seen, unless I was dreaming at some point in time.
Well, Joan Jett uses a Melody Maker.
Yeah, but it's not an SG body. There's one. So
Right,
it's
a
like
smaller.
okay, got it. here is what I've been talking about.
I imagine she went to that because it's a lighter guitar.
It's a 70. It's called a Melody Maker, but it is it's kind of like an Esquire. It's like a Telecaster Esquire.
Yeah.
Except it's an SG body. By Telecaster Esquire, what I mean is it's just a single pickup.
Right. It's not, there's not a lot to that pickup at all, and I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's just a larger plastic bobbin with wire on it, and a humbucker bar magnet goes up through the center of that. So it's not a P90, but it works like a P90, but it doesn't have the same sound as a P90. It's going to have more of a, I would say more of a Stratocaster-ish. In between Stratocaster and P90, that's where it's at. But anyway, those guitars, I think, were their less expensive models because it had less hardware on it.
There's some with 2 pickups, though.
Yeah, I think there are.
I'm looking at one on the.
There was a lot less labor and parts in those pickups. So basically, it was just a lower end model. I think it was more of a beginner's type, but the real early, the real early ones, I believe, were for your beginner kids.
66 looks like those came out.
Yeah. Yeah, those are really nice guitars, especially for a beginner. They're nice now in retrospect because of when they were made, how they're made. They're actually great guitars, custom colors, and
they have the
tremolo.
Right, but they also have the Melody Maker style headstock.
Right,
not the traditional sort of semi tulip.
Right.
One that's like
with
on
the
mine.
Points on the end. Yeah.
Curious.
Well, like I said, they had a lot less labor intensive work into those guitars, although they had some really cool finishes.
See, that's what I don't understand because the SG body's got all kinds of bevels on it and stuff. That looks like it's far more intensive, especially when you look at a regular slab Melody Maker, like a single cutaway.
Right.
Like just for the record, I want a double cutaway, like the Joan Jett style one with the elongated body in the back and blah 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 blah. But when you're looking at these SGs that we were just talking about, I mean it's an SG body.
Here's what I'm going to guess. Bonkers. I'm going to speculate on this.
Speculate.
I'm speculating that they had an enormous bin full of those bodies already made. And it was a matter of assembly. What can we make that takes a lot less assembly time, a lot less parts, but it's going to look cool, and, we can call a beginner guitar. And there you go. And they still put these beautiful finishes on those old guitars. Yeah. I mean, the Pelham Blue, they fade into like this greenish color, and it's just to die for, man.
Yeah.
And that the old lacquer they would spray.
I almost got an Explorer in Pelham Blue.
Oh man.
That would have been super sweet.
It's Pelham Blue, that color, the evolution is crazy because it starts out real blue, and then it ends up like a green color.
What do you mean?
Well, the lacquer yellows over time.
Oh, over time.
So you put yellow on to blue.
Yeah.
And that lacquer's married into that finish, Then you got like a green.
We see that on white, like Strats and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Strats.
Almost like it's a weird bluey color almost.
Yeah, like in old Les Pauls from the 70s that were white.
Or the gold top. Even I like seeing the old gold tops that have.
No, they have the greenish,
just a
hue to it.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, someday I'll get my damn double cutaway Melody Maker.
I can make that happen.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Nah.
But
I know a guy.
Yeah, I'll customize the crap out of that thing.
All right.
I have plans for that.
Well, you ever go on? Just keep your eye out on bodies alone, because there's this
My eyes are peeled, dude. I spend so much time
on eBay. There's Stratosphere or Gibson Dependable.
Yeah.
They sell just bare bodies all the time.
I'm not aware of that one. Yeah. Gibson Dependable.
Yeah. Well, maybe they changed their name. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a long time. I just know Stratosphere is like the king of buying. I think they have contracts with the big guitar companies, and they take their Bs and then they strip them all apart and they sell all the parts. I'm speculating on that, but
I'm gonna
heard that through the grapevine.
I have to make this guitar.
Yeah.
Or at least semi-assemble it.
Because of my everyday job, I can definitely help you find the parts for that.
Yeah. So. But I'm not going to reveal my plans because I still think it'll be completely. I like the fact that it could be completely unique. Yeah. But
there's nothing better than having a completely unique guitar that's yours.
Yeah.
Something you.
So
like.
if and when I do make that, then I will reveal it to the rest of the world.
Right on.
Anyways, so I guess we've been pretty busy with stuff.
Yeah. Like my cup is full right now, man. I got a lot of work. Between my wife and I don't know how you could have kids or anybody can have kids. I don't get it. I got a friend of mine that builds guitars down the road, and he builds stuff for Billy Gibbons, and he's built stuff for big names.
When are we going to have him on?
When he has time, but he's got a kid. And he's not building much anymore because his wife has a fantastic job. She works for the government, and so she's a veteran. God bless her. And they do pretty good, and he's with the. I'm trying to be respectful to my friends.
So, anyways, he's busy.
He's busy with the kid all the time, and he can't work on guitars anymore. I feel bad for him, because I know he's got a long list of stuff he's got to do, and so I was just making the comment, like I don't know how you parents out there can find time to work and do all this other stuff, and it's a heck of a balance. So if you could balance it out, well, I mean, gosh, I don't know how I could, because.
You just do.
We're busy as it is right now. I mean, we go to football games, and my wife she exercises 3 times a week, and I'm always working on guitar pickups and trying to fill in orders. And I mean, while last summer was slow, and now the football season is around, and because of my wife, I love sports now. Now I've got all this. Yeah, she knows more about sports than I do. But anyway, when football season comes around, that's when I know I'm going to get really busy, because everybody puts their boats away in the summer, and then they get their gear out, and they're like, hey, what can I do to spruce up my guitar? And that's when they start buying all the accessories. But yeah, I'm really busy. I love it.
It's a good thing I don't have a boat.
Well, yep. Yeah. They're money pits, man.
I get too much other stuff going
money
on.
Pits. But they're fun.
All right. Let's see here. I want to find out how you came about having 2 EBs.
Yeah, that's
why on earth does a guy like you have 2 EB guitars? So Gibson,
right?
Is that EBOO, right, or EB double O?
EBO.
EB is it? Well, it's EB's.
I think it's an EBO and not zero. I think it's O. I don't know.
You have 2 of them.
I do. Actually, one started out as an EBO, and I converted it to an EB3.
Okay,
but it still has a truss rod cover that says EBO. An EBO has one giant pickup in the neck,
and it's short scale.
It is. They both are short scale, and I believe the reason Gibson did that is so that if you're a guitar player, it would be easier to play if you got stuck on the bass one night.
It's a 0, by the way. EB0.
Okay, 0. I'm standing corrected, and yeah, I don't know everything, man. But so the EB0 has one pickup, and it's and that thing is a mud bucker. That's their nickname, is mud bucker. They have a 30K, they run around 30 to 36K. They have The older ones have 2 Alnico bar pickups in it that power it like a P90, but it's structured really differently because it's got a really high output. So you have a really dark sound. I mean, that thing.
So what is that
booms.
useful for? Like, tell me when someone says
real low end. It's like you wouldn't play jazz with it. It's just for, I guess, for country music or just. Heck, I don't know. It's just a real boomy, low-end basement bass.
Like classic rock kind of.
Yeah. It's just, gosh, man, it's almost like a bass drum. I mean, it's such a
and that's a neck pickup. That's a big, giant neck pickup.
It's in the neck because, you know, the neck is where you get a lot of string oscillation. You get more of a bass response.
Right.
So oh, man, it's boomy. But the EB3 is equipped with looks like it's a mini humbucker. And that's the way it's built, too. There's only 4 screw pulls that go under each string instead of like 6, like on a Les Paul Deluxe. Yeah. So when you switch to that pickup, it's a lot brighter. You can do more jazzy type stuff on that.
What year is yours?
They're both, I think one's a 69 and the other's a 70. And I haven't messed with them for so long. Gosh, I don't remember which one's which.
And those are interesting because they have an open headstock, right?
They do.
I don't understand.
I don't either.
How it just doesn't snap to pieces with the tension, the amount of tension.
I know. And let me tell you why I got them. It's your people out there. You're gonna think I'm nuts, I'm silly, or whatever. But it starts out with me. I just adored and looked up to my dad. And
why is that?
He was
Don't discredit that. That's important, man.
Yeah. So he was one of the most talented singers that I've ever known. He's such a great singer. He was a good player too. And in his later years, he did a lot of gospel type stuff. And he didn't talk about this band that he was in when he was a young kid. From the age of 13 or 14 up until his college years, he always had a band. Him and his best friend, they always had a band, and they grew up in a really small town too. So it's just really interesting and surprises me that he was always in a band in a very small town in northern Michigan. And the best band that he was in, I would say, it was called Moose Picker Falls. And I know, and I think they saw some road signs and somewhere where it said Moose Picker Falls or something, so that stuck with them, and that's why they named the band that. But there were 4 guitar players, and my dad was the lead guitar player, and he sang probably 60% of the songs. And my dad was kind of the leader of the group. He told everybody what to do, what to play, what their parts were. And my dad's best friend, Tom Clark, a very common name, but that's his name. He was kind of the guy that announced things in between. And the way the gigs went back then is you started out with I don't know, kind of like a introductory song. You know, there were no words to it. It was just and then towards the end of that little ditty or whatever it was, Tom would say, "Hey, welcome to Moose Picker Falls, and we're going to play some songs for you tonight." And
that's what Oasis does. They do.
Yeah, that's what they did back in the old days.
I can't say the word. I don't want to say the word because we got a clean thing, but it's effing in the bushes.
Yeah.
And they as soon as that comes on,
it's like a little trademark.
Like everything goes mental. I love that.
And then when it was break time, they would play a break time song. Like they would do
how do they do
Boots
time?
Randolph yakety sax, and my dad would play the you know, when they went on a break.
How are they playing if they're on a break?
No, before break time, they would play this song.
Oh, okay.
And that was their song that they played before they went to break, like their first set. They would I mean, it was a very structured gig and very organized.
Jeez.
They made a lot of money back then for, gosh, where they were and what they did.
Yeah.
So I really looked up to my dad. So this band, I called these guys that are still alive, which is Tom Clark. I'm very close with him.
Yeah.
And the bass player, Don. And the drummer that played with them, I got these guys together and we did a show at an alumni at my dad's old high school. And basically the whole town knew who this band was. And getting that band together was one of the coolest things that I've ever done, because it meant the world to me. And of course, being a guitar gear guy and a knob, man, I wanted to know what they were. I'd look at the old pictures. I'd want to know what their equipment was. They all had Showmans, Fender Showman amps. And my dad had a dual Showman reverb. He had the two JBLs. The other guys had single JBLs. And the bass player had a Fender Bassman, and he had an EBO. So for this show, I thought, I'm going to try to get some of this cool old equipment to do this one-time alumni party concert to try to, I don't know, make it the way it was 40-some years ago. So I did that. And the EBO was I thought, I'll just sell this stuff when I'm done. And I did sell some of it. But the EBOs I just kind of kept around because those were kind of project guitars. And actually, I've got a niece that's really good on the bass. So instead of just selling the basses, I think I'll just will all that stuff to her. But she doesn't know that yet, but she may know now. But yeah.
That's so interesting. But you're a big dude. We've said that a few times. And I remember seeing, your array of guitars, and I saw these two EB0s. And interestingly enough, it's so weird. Okay. Well, so interestingly enough, I'm looking at these, and we had just done an episode where Jay Donovan was talking about his EBO. He's a little guy. He's got little bitty baby hands. We loved you, Jay. And I could see him playing that. But I'm like, dude, you're a flipping mountain. And this is the tiniest bass you could buy.
Yeah, it'll look like a guitar on me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it just struck me as funny. It's like, and then to have two of them.
Right.
Which, whatever. But so the interesting thing I was going to say is that the first EB0 that was made, I think it was 1959.
Maybe it was.
It was a Melody Maker body.
Yeah, the
double
SG.
Cutaway. What the? No, not the SG. No.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
It was big, full body, double cutaway, like proper Melody Maker body.
Yep.
And it had banjo tuners on it, which I love. I like banjo tuners, and I like reverse headstocks. I like both those things.
Gibson came out with a lot of really awesome stuff in the late 50s.
Yeah.
And including the Explorer and the V.
It's just weird, like, why? How hard was it to just figure out how to make something singular? You know what I mean? Like, what is a Melody Maker? Apparently it's 5 different guitars.
Right. What is an SG?
Apparently it's a Melody Maker. Nope. Apparently it's a Les Paul. Oh, wait a minute. Nope. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, their idea was, how many products can we come out with?
How many beers are those guys drinking during the day? Gee,
right.
Christmas.
How many products can we come up with all these parts that we have?
But they would actually extend their like the I guess the spreadsheets and stuff must have looked horrifying back then.
It was all done on paper and pencil or typewriter.
Yeah, but how did you keep track of that? Okay, so the guy wants a Melody Maker. Okay, well, which kind? Well, the SG style. Well, you mean the Les Paul? No, the Melody Maker. Yeah, that's what I was saying. So the SG? No.
Like, yeah, I mostly know the history of Les Pauls and SGs because those are two of the big bread and butter guitars that Gibson makes.
Yeah.
But, as far as all the other
I like all the weird ones.
Oddball models, I couldn't tell you how many oddballs. A Gibson Marauder?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I've worked on a Ripper bass before. My buddy bought a Ripper bass for $400, and I cleaned up the electronics. That was about it.
I don't know if I've ever actually seen a Ripper bass.
I think one of the coils needed rewound in the pickup. I don't know. But yeah, those pickups are kind of weird.
Kind of offset.
I don't see what you see. It's
okay.
Mid to late 70s.
That's like a Melody Maker too.
Right.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy pants Gibson.
But they
had a cool pick guard on them.
Oh, that's true. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the Gibson models in the 70s.
Yeah.
And the way they made stuff and did stuff. And
I'd play one of those. I like that. But I like that body style. So. Yeah. Anyways, you know what I think is kind of weird to see is when you see Les Paul style basses.
Yeah, you don't see much of those anymore.
No, because it's just too. It's weird.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay. Holy moly. We just transitioned right into the thing right there. All right, top 4, which is really a top 2. That's okay. I don't care. Slide. We don't talk about slide stuff. I mean, there's not really a lot to talk about. It's like some people have guitars set aside just for slide.
Of course. They have it set up for slide.
Actually turn one of mine into a slide. I'd actually maybe I'll turn my SG into that. Because I already have, I've got other ones that do what an SG does. You know, I could do that. I'm going to do that. I like that idea. You know, nothing like a little truck section.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, okay, so top 4, slide of choice.
Well, I'm going to go with the glass slide.
Okay. Like bottleneck or
just
like
a straight, normal, big old hunking piece of glass that fits around one of my big old hunking fingers.
Right.
I don't know.
Do you do middle finger or do you do pinky or a ring finger?
I think I just used either the pinky or the ring finger. It's been so long since I actually did that. I don't remember, but I think mostly the ring finger because you have a little more control with that finger. I think.
Yeah.
You know when I'm playing, and it's on this hand, by the way.
Yeah.
On the left hand, but yeah, you know, I like the glass because I think it sounds better. Oh, myself, I've had better luck with it. I had a brass slide, and that wasn't bad either.
Yeah.
But I think I've always liked the glass a little better, and they're a little lighter too.
Yeah.
You know.
I like the glass as well. I think there's a friction thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not huge, but there's the brass one tends to sound a little. It has a more of a high end on it, like just a touch, you know. But
right.
I like the glass light, but I actually like it on my pinky because I tend to do more chordal stuff.
Yeah.
So that way I can go in and out of like I'm doing some regular chords and then give a little flair. I'm not, doing like the entire thing like Johnny Winters or something, like just sliding all over the place. Like if I did that, then I'd have 4 slides.
I saw him right
one
before
for each
he died.
finger.
Yeah. Johnny Winter, yeah. But yeah, the Seven Nation Army,
Yeah.
That's a popular song, and that's pretty much why I bought a slide, because the band I was in was playing that song.
Oh. So
I think I had a brass slide at that time, but either glass or brass.
See, it's cool. Like if you go to guitar, I'm going to make a plug for this real quick. I think that probably the general guitar public doesn't go to as many guitar shows as they should.
I agree.
They are damn fun.
Yes, they are.
And there's some fantastic people out there. You are one of those fantastic people that we met as a result of that.
Thank you very much.
But I remember at the last one that we went to, there was a fellow who that's what he did. He just made slides. And I really wanted to buy one from him, but he didn't have one that fit me at that point in time. So I guess everybody had picked him clean.
Right. Did you see the pick guy there as well? He makes picks.
No.
He lives in Pickerington.
Does he really?
He really does.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Do you do them out of stone or?
He does them out of different material, man.
I can't get on board with the stone ones. I'm sure they're awesome.
We got to get him in here.
I play hard,
right?
And I do all 6 or none, baby.
Yeah.
And I can't figure out how a stone pick's gonna not go flying.
Yeah, I loved
Finn.
Finn.
Need the flex.
I started out when I was a kid.
Really?
I started out with Finn because that's what my dad played.
Oh.
But he only played acoustic guitar at that point. That's probably why. But as I got older and better and more proficient, I started I hated breaking the darn things. So I just went with medium, and then I ended up getting the orange Tortoise or whatever the crap they're called.
Cortex.
Yeah. I just buy bags of them at a time because, they end up in the couch and in the dryer. And, and you have a pile on your dresser, then you have them on the dryer.
Yeah.
That's where I get my picks at. But.
I think if I was a super shredder, somebody who's doing giants, just sweeps all day long and, doing, 8-string arpeggios.
I know a guy like that.
Then having a really, really focused, very thick, very hard pick would be amazing.
Yeah, a fella, my buddy Justin, he plays like that, does harmonics and does the arpeggio. He's just a fine player, and he's very technical and very good. He doesn't just sloppily do it; he does it very well.
Yeah,
and he said, "Hey, man, you got to get a really thick pick like this." And this is the picking technique that you want to use. You want your index and your thumb and a little bit of your middle. And I may have forgotten exactly what he said, but he said, you got to control it like this.
Inverted, like the inverted hand?
I think so. I don't remember. I don't remember exactly how, but he's...
Yeah,
he's really...
You are making the sign of the
inverted...
The inverted internet shredder sweep guy.
Well, this was before internet, actually. When he showed me all this stuff, it was 20 years ago. But he's still a great player, and
really
he uses a really thick pick.
Was Marty Friedman and Vernon Reed. Mm-hmm. Remember the first time I watched those guys, I was like, "What the hell are they doing with their picking?" Anyways, that ain't me. But whatever. If that's how you do it, cool, man.
We went from slides to picks.
Okay, we're gonna wrap this crap up. We kind of had a freeform one today. It was fun. Got to just talk about a bunch of stuff. And I'm glad we did it.
It was a good time.
I hope you enjoyed listening. For those who are new to the show, take a look at our the back episodes. And make sure you guys go visit our new website, theguitarknobs.com. And we'd love to hear from you. We've been getting a lot more messages and comments and stuff lately, and it's great. We're really excited to do that. So anyways, do that and subscribe. Well, that wraps it up for these knobs. Join us on Facebook on our group at facebook.com/groups/guitar knobs and on Twitter at guitar_knobs. We're also on Instagram at Guitar Knobs and on our website, theguitarknobs.com.